Hello and welcome to College Football on Air. I am Carl Mogline on air, and soon Jake Liker will come with me on air. But first to talk about the stuff that Jake doesn't care about. It's social stuff, because Jake, stop complaining through your Skype video screen. You don't even have a Twitter. All right, we will now talk about social stuff. First off, the important stuff, College Football on Air, because they have a Facebook page. I have a Facebook page for it. And I post things about college football on air, and I think it has 6 likes. So here's my goal. I want after this show to have more likes than Rookies Roundup on Facebook. That is my goal for college football on air, for their page to have more likes than Rookies Roundup. I think it makes a lot of sense. It could totally happen. Other things. National Sports is also on Facebook. The network of National Sports is on Facebook. Yay, go like it. That makes sense. And Spreaker. We couldn't do it without Spreaker, so go like them on Facebook because you can. Also, National Sports is on Twitter at National Sports 1. And for those hipsters out there, trademark Jake Liker 2013. We have an Instagram at national_sports. Go check it out. It's interesting. And a shout out to President Robert Dieters, who runs everything around this network, and he does an absolutely fantastic job as long as he gets me his report in soon. Alright, now we will move on to real stuff, because I told Jake I would streamline this show tonight, and I really don't feel like doing a long one. It's like 11:32. I'm tired. I went to a football game today. We won our homecoming game. That was good. We're still dropping in the rankings. Not the point. I'm gonna streamline this. Probably. We're gonna come now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming up to the mic, batting, I don't even know what, host of Rookies Roundup, college football on air veteran. It is the man, the legend, the football guru, main event. Welcome, Jake Liker. Welcome, Jake.
Thank you, Carl, for having me on your show. I mean, I just love the introductions because you make it sound like you're about five times more enthusiastic about me being on your show than doing a show itself.
It's true. I only do these so I can talk to Jake. Because getting text updates from him on random sports things is kind of pointless. Alright, we are going to start talking on a more serious note. The Grambling State situation. Jake, please give our viewers a quick rundown on the situation.
So, Grambling State is an all-African American school. I believe it's in the Midwest. I think they are Division 1, but they certainly don't.
They're FCS.
FCS.
They're in the SWAC.
2 years ago, they had a winning record. Last year, they went 1-10. They started this year 0-2. Fired their head coach. They brought in an interim head coach, and then they are now 0-7. The players stopped showing up to practice this week. There's a protest that's been going on for 3 days now. They did not show up to the bus to go to the game against Jackson State. That game has been canceled. They met with the president and a bunch of other high-up people in Grambling State and ended up walking out of the meeting. Basically, they're unhappy with the way they're being treated. They want better transportation. They're not really getting food at all on the road. There is mold in their locker rooms. The weight rooms aren't good. The facilities are bad. So on and so forth. And so Grambling State's game will be canceled. They will end up forfeiting. And fun fact, there is a way to score one game forfeits. The final score of a football game is 1-0. So Jackson State will defeat Grambling State 1-0 this week. So yeah, a lot of people are very opinionated. Some think that they're being spoiled and they should have their scholarship stripped. And others, like myself, think that they're being treated like slaves and deserve better. So yeah, that's basically what's going down there. And to hear a more in-depth story about it, tune into Rookies Roundup tomorrow night, which has more Facebook likes than Carl's show by that.
Not after this show. This show, we're gonna be going crazy and getting all sorts of like because everybody who's up at 11:30 must love sports so much that they want to like my Facebook page. Just a thought. It seems legit, and only yeah. I'm not gonna go more into depth on my Facebook page because we talked about that a lot. Now we're gonna talk about last week. Last week we are at the midpoint of the season now. This is like big chiz now. I'm never saying chiz again on air. Starting now.
You just went full iCarly.
We're not talking about iCarly, Jake. Streamline, boy, streamline. Week 7 happened. The midpoint of said college football season. A very interesting week it was. It was. Normally I would go through all the games, but I'm streamlining, remember? We're just going to talk about games that matter, which means we're going to talk about half the games, really. First off, I am very disappointed in Northwestern. They lost 6-35 to Wisconsin, and Jake is very happy. That is all. Moving on. Michigan finally lost 43-40. It was in 4 overtimes to Penn State. And I watched all 4 of them. There were missed field goals left and right. The Michigan kicker missed 3 field goals that could have won the game. It was ridiculous. It was exhausting, truly. I really thought Michigan was going to win like 2 different times, and they didn't, and I was disappointed. Baylor did not score 69 points for the first time this season, but they are still 5-0 after beating Kansas State, who last year won the Big 12 and was, I believe, only had 2 losses that season, is now 2-4. That's kind of sad. So yeah, Baylor didn't score 69, they only scored 35, but they've still got the best offense in college football. Moving on, Texas shockingly beat Oklahoma by 16. Not even a close game. I was flabbergasted at this result. And Mac Brown has cemented himself. He may be on the hot seat, but I gotta say that Gatorade shower definitely cooled it off a little bit. Also, that was a wonderful pun. 17 Florida lost to 10 LSU. Yay. 17-6. LSU completely outplayed them, and Mettenberger is still a very strong quarterback. I still take Murray over Mettenberger, probably, but I say Mettenberger. Yeah. Okay, in the SEC, it's very hard to rank the quarterbacks and how they go. But on talent alone, in like college football, so not going pro, not anything else, just plain talent, I think it goes Murray, Manziel, Mettenberger, and then McCarron 4th. Yeah, that happened. So now we're going to talk about Texas A&M, who's ranked 9th, and then played Ole Miss, and it was 41-38, and Ole Miss almost won, and I'm very disappointed. I thought Ole Miss was going to win, and I was so excited, and so was Jake, and this was basically the battle of 2 of the teams that Jake hates the most, and that happened. Jake doesn't like Johnny Manziel. Really doesn't. And he doesn't like Ole Miss because they yelled gay slurs at the Laramie Project. That's about the gist of it. Alright, now a very interesting game. Georgia and Missouri. 25 Missouri, 7 Georgia. Last week our episode did not record. I am very sorry for that. But I basically said Missouri had no shot in this game. And then they came out and won 41-26 in a very impressive victory. James Franklin, their quarterback, coming out, but they still won. They didn't even need their 4th quarter points. They won by 15. They scored 13 in the 4th. It was a very impressive game. I was shocked by this, and Missouri looks like they could really put up a fight in. Can you tell me why Missouri's in the East? Jake, can you tell me why they're in the East? I don't understand it. They do not seem very Eastern.
know what? If the Colts can be in the AFC North and the Cowboys can be in the NFC East, then you know what? It's not too big a deal that Missouri's in the East.
Good point, and conference realignment. It makes everybody sad. The only one with actual legitimate bounds is probably the Pac-12, who holds mostly true. Colorado's a little bit above the line. Colorado, Utah, a little bit near the line, but it's fine. I still don't mind the system. I feel like that system's one of the better ones. And the ACC did the good thing by just saying, Coastal and Atlantic, so we don't actually know where the teams are supposed to be anyway. Alright, we're going to talk about two more games. Stanford and Utah. Stanford, number 5. Utah, only 2 losses to UCLA, and they also lost to Oregon State in overtime. Those 2 games very close, both of them. And at Rice-Eccles Stadium, they finally proved that they can beat a top 25 team, beating number 5 Stanford 27-21. Stanford stopped on the goal line. Kevin Hogan proving he is truly not clutch. Poor Kevin Hogan. And there was so much hope for this man. But yeah. Now Stanford's season is really going to come down to that Oregon game even more than before, because really they are most likely out of the BCS National Championship game picture, and their best hope is to go to a Rose Bowl, just like last season. Stanford losing the game they probably should have won, just like they lost once to Washington. You want to know what the difference between Stanford and Oregon is, Jake?
Sure.
Stanford loses to teams like Utah or Washington last year. They lose to unranked teams. Oregon has not lost to an unranked team. I believe it was 5 years ago now was the last time they lost to an unranked team. And I honestly can't name that team because it was before the Chip Kelly era. And it was kind of like the year... The funny thing is I really started getting obsessed with Oregon football the year Chip Kelly came in. So yeah. And now we're going to talk about the last game we're going to talk about. That made sense. Oregon scored 45 on Washington, who scored 24. This game... I'm not used to this kind of pressure. And then... it was 21-7 at half. And, they were... But, Oregon scored less points in the third quarter than Washington. I'm not sure how to react to this. But they still won by, 21. And have now won 10 straight by 17 over Washington. Holy moly guacamole. So that happened. Marcus Mariota, and I believe it was his 6th fourth quarter ever. Also, he did not play the full complete game because they put in their backup at the end. Jeff Locke came in. Jeff Locke. That makes sense. I was laughing because Marcus Mariota still didn't even take the kneel. But, Marcus Mariota was ridiculous, to say the least, cementing himself as the mid-season Heisman favorite, even though, as I have said before, why are we talking about the Heisman? Jake, do you have an opinion on whether Mariota is the mid-season Heisman favorite?
Do I? Oh my gosh.
Do I need to argue this with ESPN and Athlon Sports?
Do you want to?
Yeah, because they agree with me.
Well, they're the only ones who agree with you.
Life agrees with me.
You know you're on the short end of the stick when you can name everyone that agrees with you.
No. ESPN, their Heisman poll agrees with me. I believe he has 11 first-place votes out of 16 off that.
I don't care. They're not voting for the Heisman, though, are they?
No, they're not, but it's a media award anyway.
No, they're not voting for the Heisman.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised. A couple of them probably are. Okay, do you really want to tell me who... Again, I don't like picking the Heisman at midseason. I don't think you probably should start talking about it until week 10. But do you have somebody who you really think should be... Who's a favorite right now? Miller's been out. Braxton Miller could have a chance, but he's been out for too long. And that was the issue. He lost the Heisman chance off that.
I think Karen's looked good.
But I don't think he's looked good. Alright, Alright. Mark Mariota.
I'm never going to convince you because of your Oregon bias, so we may as well just move on.
Just saying. He has yet to have a turnover all year. Did you know that?
The Oregon offense has had a turnover all year.
Yeah, they did. They fumbled against Cal because it was super wet on the turf. Fun fact. Do you know who Jeremy Guthrie is?
I do know who Jeremy Guthrie is.
Jeremy Guthrie went to my high school. I have just found out that he, the great man, is going to likely donate some funds to give us a turf field. We currently have a grass field. Because he's with the Royals and he's doing really well now with the Royals. He had some slumping, especially at the end of his career with the Orioles. Came to the Rockies, wasn't great, but now with the Royals, he's become, I don't know if he's their one, but he could be their two pitcher behind Santana.
Yeah, you know, he's on the Royals now. I thought he was, oh yeah, he is on the Royals. No, it's a shame because we'll never be Royals.
Jake, you're so punny.
I'm not punny, I just like the song.
Save it for haha.
Haha, Clinton Dix.
Yeah, we're here at College Football on Air. We have many inside jokes. One of them is that haha Clinton Dix makes great puns. Who knew? All right, ready? Okay, ESPN's Heisman poll. Of 16 voters, 13 voted him number 1, 3 voted him number 2.
Wow.
Second is Johnny Manziel.
Okay, I can understand that, to be honest. It makes more sense than Mariota.
Okay, would you actually take Manziel over Mariota?
At this point, yes.
Bad move, boy. Bad move.
Hey, you think I like picking Manziel?
Manziel has 5 interceptions. He also only has 19 total touchdowns. 25 total touchdowns for Mariota and no turnovers.
He's playing in the SEC. What do you expect?
Come on, 5 though.
Even the guy's likely drunk half the time. I mean, imagine if he was sober.
Oh, the jab. The jab. I'm just assuming you're on the Jameis Winston bandwagon, though.
No. I'm on the Jameis, however you pronounce his first name. Does his girlfriend have a bandwagon yet?
You're on it already. Alright, who would you pick to win the Heisman? Manziel, Boyd, Mariota, Winston, or Bridgewater? Or, you want to pick one of the other ones. There's a lot of random ones that you could say are candidates. Sean Mannion, if they hadn't lost to Eastern Washington, he could be up there. He is throwing for so many yards, but they lost to Eastern Washington and Vernon Adams. And now Eastern Washington's not even doing well in the FCS. North Dakota State is the greatest FCS team of a long time.
You like to talk about them a lot.
I love North Dakota State. Are you kidding me? Alright. This is our very shortened version. We've been on 18 minutes, and it's time to talk about the rankings. Because me and Jake will argue about this for another 15 minutes. Alright. First off, normally I would just read AP Top 25 and US Today poll. But I have to include one. Actually, I'll include one other poll. I want to talk about the Harris poll. Because the BCS standings come out next week. And the Harris poll is included in that. So I think that's a legitimate cost. Agreed? Alright, the top 5 in the Harris poll. And because of the loss by Stanford, there's a little bit of screwiness around these polls. This is a very large voting pool on this poll. There are 104 voters in the Harris poll. It's a pretty wowza big poll. Alright, coming in 5. Jump in a very, very big way. Florida State is number 5. Next, number 4, Ohio State. 3, Clemson. But with 1 vote of first place. 10 votes of first place, Oregon, and 93 first place votes, the Alabama Crimson Tide. I should note, we will talk about this later, but a really quick note, Louisville did lose tonight, so that will make a difference when we rank our rankings. Yeah, so Louisville lost to UCF. If we had a show last night, I fell asleep, sorry. We would talk about that. Alright, in the other polls, well, okay, one of them actually does count for stuff, and the AP poll, the most probably the most correct poll. Doesn't count the BCS because they got so pissed at the BCS they said they wouldn't do it. That's about the gist of it. They were AP poll used to be in the BCS poll. Used to be in the BCS. Yeah, they got pulled. I mean, they pulled themselves. Alright, now we go into the more controversial stuff. Florida State is 5th in both of these polls. But here's the issue. Clemson and Ohio State are flip-flops. Ohio State is 3 in the USA Today poll, while the AP has Clemson at 3. So there's the difference. I personally side on the AP on that one. I just need it for proof of concept before I get shellacked by my main man Jake Liker about this. I have to bring up ESPN.com's power rankings. In this poll,
Stop.
no, I will not stop because I'm gonna read this for my own proof of evidence. Alright, number 5, Florida State. Number 4, Ohio State. That's a pretty consensus agreement, but I'll change it later. Number 3, Clemson. And tied at number 1 with the same number of first place votes, 10 apiece, Alabama and Oregon. I should note that an SEC blogger ranked Oregon number 1.
Okay, some people out there are haters. I think that Oregon literally got sympathy votes. Quite literally sympathy votes for wearing pink helmets.
No, that wasn't announced till afterwards. That was not announced till afterwards, dude.
Yeah, but anyone could have seen it coming.
No, you couldn't have. Also, the pink helmets are a nice touch. We'll go to the pink helmets later. We're talking about next week later. What did I say after talking about Louisville? We'll talk about next week later. Jeez Louise, people. Okay. Jake, will you give us your top 5, please?
Absolutely love to give you your top 5. Alright, here's the top 5. It's simple, to be honest. I am going to I'll put Florida State at 5.
The normal pick.
What?
The pretty average pick, yeah. That's one of the more consensus picks of everybody. It's just like Florida State's 5, no dirt.
Florida State 5. Clemson is 4 because I did not like what I saw against Boston College.
I gotta agree, they were not super impressive against Boston College.
That does put a lot of points for the Golden Eagles. They have given good opponents a run for their money this year. I like Ohio State at 3. I like Oregon at 2. And you know what? I almost considered them putting number 1 if Alabama only beat Kentucky by like 3. But
we should mention they did not even score until the second quarter. It took them a while to get going. It took them a while to get chugging. Once they did get chugging, they won 49-7 or something. No, 42-7.
49-7.
No, 42-7, I believe, actually.
Which isn't that much of a surprise considering that the Kentucky Wildcats in football are about as good as the East High Wildcats. Happy birthday, Zac Efron. Sorry.
Did you really just give a happy birthday out to Zac Efron?
You know what? It was topical. I wasn't planning on
it. Streamline, boy.
Streamline. Hey, I'm not the one who said oh chits, okay?
Sorry.
Alabama goes number 1.
Alright. Here we go. First of all, number 5, North Dakota State. I'm just kidding. But yeah, North Dakota State is like the unanimous FCS college football, like number 1. They are ridiculously good.
If you listen really closely and you walk into an empty room, listen closely, and that's the sound of people not caring about the FCS.
I know, I just have to bring up North Dakota State as much as possible, but I love them so much. I'm sorry, when an FCS team goes undefeated, I feel like they should have something, because no FCS team goes through a season without playing an FBS team, so yeah.
Well, fine, then you know what? Shout out to Towson, everybody, for beating UConn.
Hey, UConn almost beat Michigan, and Michigan almost beat Penn State, therefore, by the...
transitive property.
Yeah, that does not work, but that's a very stupid property, and because that's assuming that Appalachian State, could have beaten all those opponents Michigan beat that year. And honestly, I really don't think they could have. Personally.
Does technically that mean that the East High Wildcats could put up a fight against the Alabama Crimson Tide?
Are we why are we... How does that work with transitive?
About geometry properties, not me.
I couldn't name them. I'm out of geometry. I stopped thinking about it. Now, my top 5. My legitimate top 5. Oh, this one hurts a lot, but I'm gonna have to put Ohio State at 5.
But that's it. That's it. Clearly you have stopped thinking about geometry because there
Dude!
is no logic.
Ohio State wasn't even in my top 5 last week, and you didn't give me this much stuff about it.
Given Ohio State has not lost a game and beaten
but neither
other teams such as Wisconsin and Northwestern.
But we've already seen what Northwestern can do.
Ohio State has not lost. Then they deserve to be ranked at least number 4.
But Florida State has not lost either. Florida State is playing Clemson this week. One of them will drop out. Give me this 1 week to drop out. I need to get Ohio State. I don't like Ohio State. I don't want them to be ranked. So give me 1 week.
So you put them number 1. You're losing credibility, bro.
No, Ohio State I don't like because I don't like their team. I don't think they're going to win.
As Skip Bayless is to Tim Tebow.
Whoa, boy. Whoa.
I'm just saying.
5 Ohio State, 4 Florida State. That puts them up against 3 Clemson. That's going to be a tough game, and we'll cover that later. Clemson, Florida State, best game of the week. Easily. Now we go to my top 2. The unchanging top 2 of my poll. It is the Alabama Crimson Tide at number 2 and at 1, agreeing with half of ESPN's voters as well as 9 of the 122 voters in the AP and USA Today poll. I picked the Oregon Ducks.
I'm telling you, when you can name everybody that agrees with you, you're in trouble.
I cannot name all the coaches that agree with me or all the AP voters.
Just ask Herman Cain.
He's
not our president.
Alright, okay, so this is off topic but really funny. So do I get to bring this up? It's political.
Streamline, boy. I don't care, it's your show, go.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm in class today, and we're talking about, like, a lexicon of, like, good girls and bad girls and, like, traits they make them, because we're doing taming the shrew research. And, like, things between Kate and Bianca. One of the guys says, like, Michelle Bachmann as a bad girl because she's, like, to paraphrase, she dates around a bunch. I'm just like, that is to say she's a slut. I'm just like, that's the opposite of Michelle Bachmann. She's the conservative Christian Tea Party woman.
She said that she's against vaccinations because one of her friend's daughters was vaccinated and suffered from, and I quote, mental retardation. So
wow. Here at College Football on Air, I make my political opinions shown. I would like to say that I do support vaccinations, and I do not think they create mental retardation.
I do too, and I also support Herman Cain. But I mean, he'd be.
You know who I support? Ron Paul. Ron Paul for president, people.
Ron Paul.
He'd be such a funny president.
You want to know why Carl likes Ron Paul? Because he represents the false hope that Carl has in Oregon.
Oh, the dig! The dig! Hey, guess what I'm excited for? I'm excited for
the Iowa caucuses. Just kidding. No one cares.
Obviously. You know what I'm excited for? Next week. You want to know why I'm excited for next week?
Chris Christie's going to eat Hillary Clinton.
That'd be really sad. I like Hillary Clinton. Alright. Next week, the Oregon Ducks are playing Jake Laker's very own UCLA Bruins. I am so excited for next week's show. I cannot even tell you how excited I am for next week's show. It is ridiculous.
Oh, Bruins. Yeah,
but it's at Oregon, so you can't do your fight for boys.
Lose, but we're going to try hard.
Let's see how they do against Stanford first.
You know what? At least our goal in life is not to make a fashion statement.
That is not our goal in life. Our goal in life is to make
Have
a
you seen-
5th consecutive BCS Bowl.
I'm sorry. When you have more uniforms than national championships, sorry, 4 times as many. Oh wait, you don't have any national championships.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Jake, hey, did you know something? That Oregon has more basketball championships than football championships. They have 1 basketball championship. They won the first one.
1937. I know that. You want to start talking about college basketball?
No, we should make a college.
You are done like Ron Paul in a Republican Congress.
Oh, okay. Can we make a deal to not make any political jokes for the next 15 minutes?
Hey, you brought up Ron Paul, not me, and Ron Paul's a joke on his own.
No, come on. All right, let's start by talking about. First off, Miami only won by 4 over NC, North Carolina. The Tar Heels. They were down by 4 at half and 7 going into the 4th quarter, but they pulled out the win. Your thoughts on this game?
Never doubt the U. That's what I'm gonna say. I mean, the Hurricanes, Sebastian the Ibis, their mascot, by the way. I think that, by the way, North Carolina also, low-key has some pretty cool jerseys. Don't forget about jerseys. Because, again, our goal in life is not to make a fashion statement. That's Oregon's job. Miami came through. Even though it was a close game, it was probably a lot closer than most would have appreciated at Miami. Those are the type of games that are serious confidence builders for Miami. And you know what? I think that is a lot better for them than a blowout, to be honest.
I can accept that. Now talking about the big game tonight. The University of Central Florida, who I should note is their only loss is to South Carolina. The University of Central Florida Knights on a a touchdown pass from Jeff Godfrey, a 2-yard pass from Blake Bortles to him with 23 seconds left. The University of Central Florida Knights knocked off the number 8 ranked and previously undefeated Louisville Cardinals to put UCF in the top spot in the American Athletic Conference. Jake Laker, your Bahats.
Well, considering the BCS of the BCS, they weren't going to make it to the national championship game anyway. So this just saves a lot of unnecessary controversy. So you know what? I'm going to consider UCF to be a good Samaritan here. By the way, to march into Louisville, that is impressive. You know what? Kentucky Fried Chicken all around.
All right.
You know that Louisville plays in the KFC Yum Center for basketball?
I did know that. Alright, here, you want to know what my issue now is? It's also not the KFC Yum Center, it's just the Yum Center. Yum Brand's own KFC. But,
And pizza.
I know, Yum Brand's actually own a lot of stuff.
And Taco Bell, which is ironic because Papa John went to Louisville. So that must be really awkward. Have you seen pictures of drunk Papa John at Louisville games? It is the greatest thing you'll ever see.
Streamline, boy, streamline. Boy. Who wins the American Athletic Conference now?
Louisville.
Okay, as cliche as this may sound, I think UCF can take it because they have the game in hand on Louisville now, and the rest of their schedule is not super difficult because they play in the American Athletic Conference. The toughest game left they have is probably they have to play Houston. Houston is 5-0. We really don't. I don't think they're going to be that good, but Houston is 5-0.
I think Houston deserves a shout out. Former Houston Cougars quarterback Case Keenum will be starting for the Texans. Don't screw up, because you know what happened to Matt Schaub. Do you know that people are making fake Matt Schaubs and stuffing them in the back of their trunks like he's a dead body?
That's amusing. Alright, here, Houston, I shouted to them for that, but I just got to list the teams they've beaten so far. Southern, not any, just Southern. Temple,
Southern, I've heard of Southern, yes.
Rice, the University of Texas, San Antonio.
UTSA, wait, they're called the Roadrunners, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And last week, an amazing win over Memphis.
the Tigers.
Yes. And that, we don't need to go over all the mascots. Plus, you cannot name, like, I don't know, can you name the Southern mascot? Southern University.
Bulldogs?
Jaguars.
I actually do that.
Sure you did. Also, yeah, so now they're going to play BYU this week.
The Cougars.
I'd take to doubt an undefeated team. Never mind, it's in Reliant. Houston to win. I think Houston takes out BYU.
Here's the point. Louisville is still going to win the AAC.
Okay, I still think Central Florida will. With that game in hand. Which you forget about. It's not the best team in that conference. There's something.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Nevada didn't beat Boise State in the Mountain West when it was still the Mountain West. Who's in the Mountain West now?
Ooh, the Mountain West is Fresno and Boise and San Jose State. And do we need to go over the Mountain West standings now?
No, we don't. Because otherwise you'll start going on a rant about how amazing Fresno State is.
I won't, even though they are one of you.
Your mouth with raisins and go off to Fresno.
Did you know?
The Fresno Raisin Parade.
Guess what? That Wyoming has the same record as Boise State right now. They are both 4-2.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah. Other than that, Hawaii is 0-6, and we are finally going to probably see the end of the Norm Chow regime. It's a sad day. I mean, he led them to a Sugar Bowl.
This is the problem. You see, you were a good team. The Warriors were a formidable opponent. But once they added Rainbow Warriors, it was like they reincarnated the Munchkins from the Wizard of Oz.
Exactly. I feel the exact same way. Alright, we're going to actually talk about what's happening tomorrow. Because for anybody who's actually listening to the show or listens to it tomorrow, you're going to care about what happens tomorrow. But we're not going to talk about all the games. Because really, do we need to talk about Northern Illinois playing the Central Michigan Chippewas?
You gotta love the Chippewas.
I said Chippewas. We can now move on. Do we need to talk? Actually, I kind of do want to talk about this one. Oklahoma State is playing TCU. That's a tricky one, but I think Oklahoma State pulls that one out. It's at Oklahoma State.
You know, I'm gonna say Oklahoma State too.
Alrighty, boy. Personally,
Stop calling me boy.
I won't. Boy? Alright, Washington is at Arizona State. I see Washington bouncing back from a loss at Oregon and taking out the Sun Devils.
Sure.
Yep. Don't need to talk about either Oklahoma or Fresno State, because they both have pretty easy games. I don't need to talk about them. They're playing UNLV. And while I respect UNLV's basketball team, I do not respect their football team.
I do not like Green Eggs and Ham. I do not like UNLV. I do not respect UNLV.
It's a great poem, dude. Alright. Texas Tech is going to West Virginia. Texas Tech is going to beat West Virginia.
Yes, they will. Have you seen Texas Tech's quarterback?
Texas Tech's quarterback is very good.
No,
the freshman one?
The freshman.
Yes, I am familiar with him. I like him a lot. He's funny.
This is proof that anybody can be a quarterback.
Is he really short?
No, freaking short. I like short people.
He's skinny?
That came out weird. No, he's just a typical nerdy-ish kid. And he's a great case for, against bullying, besides the fact that you're a horrible person if you're a bully. But be careful. who you speak to, because I don't think anybody would have guessed this guy. Look at the picture. Tell me what you think.
That takes so much work and effort and
Typing
Alright.
stuff still needs Ole Miss's IT program.
I'm not okay. We're gonna drop that because we're trying to streamline. I will Skype you about this later. Alright, Georgia, who legitimately is 4-2, while Vanderbilt is 3-3, but they're still gonna crush Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Really, one of the underrated games of the week, probably. Florida going to Missouri. Of course, Missouri coming off that emotional win over Georgia. James Franklin is out for this game. That is a key thing to remember. But also, Jeff Driscoll is still gone. I see the Missouri Tigers taking out the Gators and finally taking them out of the polls. They are 22nd. They have 2 losses. With that 3rd loss, they will not be ranked anymore.
Yeah, hopefully that happens, because otherwise Carl's going to start talking about his Boise State theory of prestige ranking and whatnot.
It makes sense!
My dad said something to me 3 hours ago that really hit hard. He said,
The Dodgers suck.
That USC and Notre Dame are playing tomorrow. That's a sentence I never thought I heard in my life. That's how low profile and meaningless these 2 teams have become.
I know
Notre Dame is playing USC tomorrow, and no one cares.
I know it's wonderful, isn't it?
Right?
Even though those teams were both... USC wasn't ranked, but Notre Dame was ranked at the beginning of the season. Notre Dame was still ranked. That would be a huge game, but luckily they scheduled it far enough in the season that we don't care. No more Bush pushing.
But at least NBC is still going to broadcast.
I want to give a shout out. I may not like USC, but I love their radio announcer. A shout out to Pete Arbogast.
He's cool.
He's a great guy. We both know him personally.
Although, he took some unnecessary shots at UCLA that I did not appreciate. For example, I asked him how many national championships USC has while we're at the UCLA Hall thing. He says 123. That is not.
And excuse me, we are having some technical difficulties currently with Jake Laker. Peter Arbogast did take some shots. He liked poking some holes at UCLA while we were on their campus, including in their museum. To finish that point, now we can actually go on to that game. I will be trying to get Jake back on the line, but as I try to do that, we will continue on. I will be currently calling him, and we will next be moving on to 13 Stanford. Going on. Jake, you there? We are still trying to reach him. This is very interesting. I am now announcing my Skype loading. Loading. It says there's a connection problem. I am going to wait for him to call me. Actually, now he's calling me. How smart is he? It says my interview connection is very slow. Jake, you there? I finished your sentence about P. Arbogast, and now we'll move on to the game. 9 UCLA and a 10. Can you tell me the last?
You mentioned that UCLA has more national championships than anyone else.
Yes, Jake.
Inferior to UCLA.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Just want to make sure that everybody else knew that.
Yeah. I talked about it. Okay.
Including Oregon.
Yes. All right. 9 UCLA. What? Can you tell me the last time UCLA was in the top 10?
I can't. I don't think I was alive. To be honest, I never thought this would happen. I think we'd have to go back to the days of either Troy Aikman or Gary Beeman.
I believe Troy Aikman probably. I believe Troy Aikman made it.
Only UCLA.
Not even Maurice Jones-Drew could put them in.
I was there. MJD was great. I liked him. We had MJD, we had Mercedes Lewis, we had Akeem Ayers, Alteron Werner, and you know what we did with that? We won the Sun Bowl over Northwestern.
Yeah! And not even good Northwestern, bad Northwestern.
And Werner returned 2 kicks for touchdowns, including one of them was an onside kick. An onside kick returned for a touchdown.
That's wonderful. Alright, we are going to talk about this game now. UCLA is playing Stanford, and Stanford lost to Utah, but don't worry, UCLA almost lost to Utah anyway. They wouldn't have if they hadn't had, what was it, 6 interceptions? Utah did? I believe that was something? Yeah. So that's what happened in that, and they probably would have lost otherwise. So, not reading into that. UCLA going to the farm. As a UCLA fan, how do you see this game going?
I'm very excited for this game. I think UCLA can pull it.
Is that your pick, or is that you saying they can win?
I think UCLA will win.
Thank you.
UCLA will win. And for so long, I thought this was going to be Stanford's game. But what I saw in Kevin Hogan really worried me. And I know it's not going to be easy to beat Stanford coming off a loss. Let me put it this way. As a UCLA fan, and I think this is really how all the fans feel right now. If we can come away with just one win in this 2-game series, we'll be happy. And I think this is going to be that win.
Alright, and honestly, I think UCLA will probably end up with a 2-loss season. I think they're going to beat Stanford. I think they're going to lose to Oregon here. I think they're going to lose to Oregon again in the Pac-12 championship game. So I think that's going to be their 2 losses. Which I think is kind of depressing when your 2 losses are to the same team.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's depressing. Not having 109 national championships.
Oh, the pain. Torture, torment. I actually don't care. So yeah, we are gonna now talk about. I already said what I think of this game. I think that this game is going to be won by UCLA. So I don't even need to make a pick. I did. I said they wouldn't. I said they would have 2 losses. Therefore, by I don't know, substituting. I guess. Yeah, you can substitute that result for the previous one. We're not going to talk about geometry anymore. We did that earlier. We are now going to move on because we're streamlining. We're still going to be an hour-long show. Somehow. Because that's happening.
That's your favorite line. You should rename the show. Call Love Lines. That's happening.
I love that's happening. It's like my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, the phrase is happening. You know? You would be really popular in the 80s.
I would be awesome in the 80s. But I'm awesome now anyway, so we're good.
Oh, the self-confidence.
I love that self-confidence too. It's great. Alright. We're now going to talk